Chiefs, Eagles, it is a Super Bowl rematch in week 2 in Arrowhead.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. A lot to talk about here. We're going to be talking Locked On Chiefs, Locked On Eagles. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl rematch in Week 2 in Arrowhead. Crossover Thursday is presented by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Joined today by Louis from Locked On Eagles. Ryan is also here. A lot to talk about. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about the keys to victory at the very end of the show. But we're going to talk about some matchups in the next segment. But we want to start off talking about the biggest story for both of these teams. And I really do believe it is with the QBs. That's how this game always seems to play out. It comes down to those QBs. Louis, how do you see it in this game?
Yeah, you wouldn't know that from the national media perspective and a lot of national fans talking about Jalen Hurts. But believe it or not, these games normally do come down to who outperforms the other quarterback between Jalen and Patrick Mahomes. Jalen's had his number in 2 Super Bowls, even though Mahomes won the first one. I think Hurts was the better quarterback. He also won in 2023. It's interesting. They're the only 2 quarterbacks ever that have won a Super Bowl both against each other and have faced off in multiple championships. It's kind of becoming for NBA fans like the Cavs-Warriors rivalry of the NFL, where they're playing every single year in really important games. So I think Jalen Hurts is a huge opportunity that if he beats out Mahomes again on Sunday, I don't know what more you can say to keep him out of that tier 1 list of quarterbacks. I'm sure people will find a way to do it, but I think if he carries the Eagles the way he did week 1 against Dallas and in Super Bowl 59, I don't know what the critics are going to say at this point. So I'm fascinated about this matchup from Jalen's perspective.
I think you're absolutely right. And it's about how he goes about the game. If he is less dependent on his legs, if they don't get in 7 tush-push situations, if it's an actual quarterback duel where it's about delivering the ball to receivers that have an opportunity to catch it, then I think it's a really interesting matchup. I'm just not sure the Chiefs are going to be able to put their receivers in as good a position to actually help their quarterback. So once again, much like the offensive line was in the Super Bowl, there's an apples to oranges comparison that I think keeps coming back into this because of the supporting cast. And I'm a Jalen fan. I was before he came out of the draft, and I do think it makes it a little bit more difficult to compare them. I'd like to just see a clean game where we can get an even tell on them.
A clean game with no injuries, please. Can I ask that? That's what I want. I want a clean game. I want to see I'd love to see a high-scoring game in this one. I don't know that we'll see it. I think that both these teams showed inconsistency at times on offense last week. Obviously, Kansas City for sure did. But I thought even watching the Eagles play, they weren't consistent the way that you would expect a Super Bowl winner to be in the first week of the season, especially against a rival like the Dallas Cowboys. But you look at this game and you look how it's going to play out. And I agree with you, Louis. This is one of those situations where if he wins again, if Hurts finds a way to beat Mahomes again, you have to start wondering where are you going to put him in this conversation. Now, you can make an argument that the supporting casts are way different. Hurts has a little bit more talent around him. I don't think that there's going to be an argument that you can't really say that that's not true. But you look at this game, and it's just one of those things where Kansas City is now in a situation where they are 0-1 going into play the Eagles. If they go to 0-2, that does become a problem. And the pressure is going to be squarely on Patrick Mahomes to make this a game where he says pretty much over my dead body, and are we going to lose 2 in a row?
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that if Jalen beats Mahomes, suddenly he's ahead of Mahomes. Like, I think Patrick still is number 1 in the NFL. Like, undoubtedly so. Over still Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. But if Jalen goes out and again outduels the number 1 guy in the league, as he's done multiple times, even when he doesn't beat him, like he's right there with him, that should matter more in these conversations about where quarterbacks are ranked. And I just don't like people are still putting, even in our Locked On NFL Top 100 list this offseason, people are putting Jaden Daniels ahead of Jalen Hurts and Matt Stafford. And I think, Chris, you nailed it. Like, the offense last week was definitely inconsistent. A.J. Brown only got 1 target, and it was the last drive of the game. Devontae Smith only had 16 receiving yards. I thought Dallas did a really good job stopping Saquon Barkley in the second half. He had under 70 rushing yards, which was a rarity last year. the only real positive, consistent part of that offense last week was Jalen Hurts carrying the football team, making plays outside of structure with his legs when nobody was open. That's how the first 2 rushing touchdowns happened. It was kind of a mini first half shootout, and yet I still don't think he got enough credit because he only threw for 153 passing yards. So I would love to see him go out there this week and put up the numbers in a win on the road. Because, again, I just think that'll continue to help the narrative that he is an elite quarterback. So I think there's a lot riding on this for Hurts from an individual perspective. But like you guys said for the Chiefs, like this is rare territory. I mean, going down 0-2 to start a season is not like the Mahomes-Reed era.
No, it's definitely not. And it'd be something that I think would be a precedent you don't want to set, but you got to live off of. That's got to push you forward. And I like this rivalry between the 2 quarterbacks because it continues to push. I feel like maybe more so than some other times Mahomes has been on stage at a pre-Super Bowl media event. I feel like there's a lot of camaraderie and mutual respect there. And I think that
totally agree.
Fed upon. But the thing for me, I actually feel the opposite in terms of performance. I want Jalen to put up 250 yards. That's what I'm looking for. Because if he does that, it means he didn't run it in 4 times and he's not tearing them up on the ground. And for me, that's what I think is the driver that moves the offense against this Chiefs defense. If they can keep him to the fact that they're going to give up pass yards and they can keep him in particular out of the end zone, it means he's got to work as a true pocket quarterback. And I think that's the way that Mahomes can actually stay out front a little bit, maybe put up a few more points. We'll see what that defensive front looks like.
Yeah, and I will say this, when you start looking at how this is going to play out, I agree with you completely that it is a scenario where if Hurts comes out and plays, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but if he comes out and plays and wins with his legs, it doesn't say the same thing as him coming out and playing like a normal quarterback and coming out and throwing for 250, 300 yards. I understand it's not the game of football today. You're going to use your legs as a quarterback. I get that. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But it's a different conversation, whether it's fair or not.
Can I ask why? Production to me is production. I think Lamar Jackson, we don't knock his mobile production or Josh Allen, but for some reason with Jalen, the rushing, even Cam Newton back in the day wasn't putting up 4,000 plus passing yards every year, but everybody said he was an elite player. I'm just curious why the rules for Jalen are different than other quarterbacks.
I'm not saying that they should be. I'm simply stating that that's the way it seems to be. Because
no, I agree with you. I was genuinely asking. I'm curious why people form it that way.
I wish I had a great answer for you because the reality is like, you're right. Production's what matters. Wins matter. As much as people say that QB wins doesn't matter, that's what people are judged on. It may not be fair, but that becomes reality as you look at who is the most winning quarterback of all time. That's who you think is the most successful quarterback. It doesn't necessarily matter if he threw for 5,000 yards or not.
Yeah, and real quick to just kind of wrap things up for at least my perspective on the quarterback thing. I totally agree with you. Like, if a player was clearly a product of his system and was not elevating a football team, I would call them a system quarterback. Like, Brock Purdy is somebody that I kind of put in that tier, whereas Jalen Hurts I don't think belongs there because although you're right about how people shape his rushing production versus passing, he is still elevating the team and carrying them through his legs. Like last week, I think it's a foregone conclusion if you watch that game, they won because of Jalen Hurts. Was it through the air? No. But you still won because of your quarterback, so why does it matter how in the modern day NFL? I just think it's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating matchup. I think Pat Mahomes does a lot of things like that are similar to what Jalen does. Great. That Mahomes gets credit for and Jalen gets knocked for. So I don't know. I just clearly, as you guys can tell, I have very passionate feelings about this, but I just think quarterback narratives and dialogue right now is just the rules are always different, and it's very fascinating to me.
It's depending on the fan base as well, and everybody's going to turn a little bit.
You could tell I've been on Chargers Twitter too much the last few weeks.
Yeah, no one
as you guys did last week.
That's a dark place to go, sir.
Yeah.
That's going to so when we get back, we're going to be talking about the matchups that are going to be a key in this game in the Super Bowl rematch for the Chiefs and the Eagles right after this.
Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IHS Top Safety Plus pick awards than anyone else. As of August 25, from footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail as well, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite with a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with your friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game, whether you're trying it out on the course or you just need a little extra boost to get through your day. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor that you love without ever leaving the green. If you have to leave the green, like somebody like me, a beginner out on that course that gets asked to leave when you make a birdie on a par 4 going off of someone else's cart, sometimes you need that little lift of energy to get through the rest of what is a bad day. Golf is all about good times and good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts for your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. It's 5hewin.com for rules and to enter. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. It ends October 31st.
Matchups. This is going to be the key to who is going to have a chance to win this game. And Louis, we talked about this beforehand. Your big one was looking at the edges against a rookie left tackle. I'm really curious as to see how that's going to play out, but who specifically are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm specifically looking at on that left-hand side of the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line with a rookie Simmons, who I really liked coming out of Ohio State. He's going to be going up against, I think, the majority of the time, Jalix Hunt, as Nolan Smith plays primarily on the right side of the defensive line. Jalix Hunt in year 2, a first-time starter, had a great Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. Thought he had a good start to the season against Dallas. I think also with Zadarius Smith now being signed, he'll be in the mix as well in the rotation. Josh Uche, former Kansas City Chief, actually had the highest pass rush win rate of any edge week 1, and he played on the left side too. I know you guys are shaking your head because he was a healthy scratch
right now
for KC. Yeah, I mean, he looked great, at least it was only one game, but he looked great. I'm just looking at that matchup because the key to beating Patrick Mahomes, as they did in the championship, was getting to him, but not just getting to him, getting him on the ground. Last week, their pass rush was really good, but they were not able to sack Dak Prescott once. He was able to escape and make plays outside of structure. So they can't let Mahomes do the same thing because, I mean, you've got Allen and Lamar are great at this and Jalen Hurts too, but still nobody is as good as Mahomes outside of structure, in my opinion, when a play breaks down of making something happen than number 15. So you have to get to him, but you also have to finish, or else even without the receivers that everybody's banged up right now, it feels like in KC outside of Hollywood Brown, he's still going to make you pay. So that's why I'm specifically looking at that matchup. And because it is a rookie on the left-hand side, excuse me, I'm just more fascinated by that part of the matchup.
I don't blame you a bit. I think that's a premier position against a premier position that is new to both the defense and the offense. Right. So I think with Smith in particular, and in knowing that what the Chiefs recruited, they try to get athletic tackles. One of them on the opposite side has a tendency to try to get out of the hole early, which I am absolutely astonished is not what we're talking about right now, because I think the rookie held up really well in his first meeting, and he does handle speed pretty well. We're going to see how he handles speed to power. We'll see how that goes. But I like that matchup, and I'm really, really excited that we both picked matchups in the trenches, because for me, it's also on that type of lineup on the other side. Landon Dickerson beat up a limited participant, right? Both might be playing for him against Chris Jones. No matter what you're doing, you're up for a tough day. That just made it that much harder. And quite frankly, Chris screwed up in the last ball game. He owned it, and he's got to go make up for it. He is coming out at top Chris Jones as far as I can tell. And that is a good matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's not enough. As you said, and we talked about earlier, what Jalen can do when he breaks the pocket, nothing to forget about. And Chris Jones is only one player. George Karlaftis has to play with better contain. They have to have a third pass rusher emerge. We don't know who it is. Mike Down, Charles Omenihu, absentee last week. The rookie, another rookie, Ashton Gelati, starting to come on, but got a little banged up, didn't get enough volume. Could he be the X factor? A guy that's a little bit quicker, but not quick enough to chase down Jalen. That's, for me, on that side of the ball, that's the matchup to watch.
When I look at this, it's a matter of, I love the Jones and Toth matchup. I love the thought of Jones going against Dickerson, even though Dickerson isn't 100%, but because Dickerson is one of those guys that is at the best at his position. If he was 100%, that would be a marquee matchup, period. But it doesn't look like that'll be the case. But then you look at this from the other perspective of, you already talked about Jalen Hurts in the first segment. I'm going to say right now, my question is Jalen Hurts versus Steve Spagnuolo, and it's not in the passing game. It's Jalen Hurts and his legs. It's, can you stop him? Can you keep him contained to where he doesn't beat you? Because it doesn't have to be that he gets, 2 or 3, 15 or 20-yard plays with his legs. All it has to be is, can he get out of the pocket and get a first down? Even if it's just 4 or 5 yards, it doesn't matter. That kills you as a defense if you can't keep the quarterback in the pocket. So it's a question of, how do you contain this potent Phillies offense? Or, sorry, not Phillies, Eagles offense. I apologize. The Philly offense with Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. And obviously there's going to be questions. Is A.J. Brown going to be healthy? Can he play? Is he going to look like he usually does this week? Because he didn't last week. If you have all those offensive weapons, how do you contain Jalen Hurts? How do you get it to where he is not going to be a guy that's going to hurt you with his legs?
Yeah, I'm fascinated how they're going to play that, because in the Super Bowl, it felt like Spags dared the Eagles to beat them with his arm, with Jalen Hurts' arm. They did a great job of taking Saquon Barkley out of that matchup. I mean, Saquon, that was one of the least efficient performances he had in the entire 2024 season. So Jalen was able to push back that defense. He had answers to the blitz and disguise pressure looks. He was 17 of 21 in that game, over 220 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, including the dagger in the third quarter. So Jalen was able to answer that, and they made him throw the football. I'm curious, after that good performance, if the Chiefs' defensive blueprint will be the same, or if they are going to call things off, have a quarterback spy on him more, force him to throw from within the pocket, don't give him those obvious rushing lanes. It just felt like Hurts, though, had an answer for everything they did in that Super Bowl. Even when there was blitzes and he wasn't throwing, he was able to escape it and find the hole. It'll be really fascinating. I totally agree, that kind of cat and mouse game between Spags and Jalen. It's always a good battle, and I am curious how they're going to play that one.
It's a 3-safety set that I think is going to come into play pretty predominantly. Whether Jamar Connor's lined up in the nickel or they're bringing Hicks down, that'll be part of it. So it might not necessarily be a linebacker matchup that you're looking for. Right. But Tranquil and Chanel, we know that they have their certain capabilities. I think for Jalen, it's probably going to be trying to escape up the middle, take what he can, and advantage there, and then kind of break for the outside. We'll see how that comes.
And that's where he made most of his money in that Super Bowl. When escaping, you're right, it was through the middle of the field. So that'll be a key.
Do you have another big matchup that you're looking at, Louis?
I'm thinking, too, the rookie linebacker Jihaad Campbell and Zach Baun against Travis Kelce. I mean, I think Travis Kelce obviously isn't who he used to be, but still a very effective tight end. And Jihaad Campbell had a great debut week 1, had the highest grade, according to Pro Football Focus, of any defender in that matchup. But I would still say, of all the things he does great, coverage is still the thing he's the farthest behind, I would say. So going up against maybe the best route running tight end of all time, naturally is going to be interesting matchups to watch, especially too because outside of Kelce, like Mahomes has Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. If Worthy's playing, it's, a really banged up shoulder, right? If he's even ready to go. And Rashee Rice, we know, is out. So Kelce obviously is the go-to guy. So I'm looking at those linebackers against Kelce too, specifically when Campbell's on him, because that's a really big test for the rookie.
Wide receivers, Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers versus the Philly corners, and it's not really a specific one because there's so many different things.
It should be a Dory Jackson. He was terrible last week.
I agree with you, but the problem is you don't have a great answer at the wide receiver position for the Chiefs either. So it's one of those things where it's like,
I think I can get open against a Dory Jackson though. Just saying.
That's probably fair, and I hope that they take advantage of that because that is going to be something to definitely watch in this game. How does Kansas City's receivers attack without Rashee Rice, without Xavier Worthy? Because I can't see Worthy playing in this game. We're going to talk about how these teams win this game right after this.
The NFL season is on us, and FanDuel is making sure that you're getting ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, You get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it's all in one place, and the app is super simple to get after. Whether I want to do something ahead of time, put together a parlay or whatever I'm looking for, jumping in live is even an option. It makes life one-stop shopping to get into the action. So if you're ready and you are ready to play, get in there, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. And that's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet to get that 300 bonus bets. Check it out at FanDuel.com.
Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love that we are in week 2 of the NFL season, but this is the game that I had circled. Granted, Chiefs played the Chargers. That was a big one in Brazil, but Chiefs-Eagles, second week of the season, a Super Bowl rematch. This is what is going to show you who has the opportunity to go back to, challenge for another Super Bowl. If Kansas City falls to 0-2, that is a huge disadvantage to them. How do the Eagles beat the Chiefs this time around? Again, Louis.
Yeah. I think it's honestly, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's the same blueprint as how you won the Super Bowl. You need to win with the pass, and you need to win against the pass. I think the Chiefs are going to double down yet again and try to stop Saquon Barkley, have a lot of stacked boxes. The Eagles played with a lot of reduced splits last game, so it was easy for the Cowboys to really get close to the line of scrimmage and not be spread out. If they do that again, I think Spags is going to say, let's see you do it again, Jalen Hurts. Let's see you beat me as a passer inside the pocket. I'm going to throw different pressures your way. I think Dallas did that after the lightning delay, and they had a lot of success. They threw some corner blitzes at Jalen. The offensive line struggled to pick it up. I think he's going to have to win again by pushing the defense back by throwing. He's going to have to throw more to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown cannot touch the football only once, and it was the final drive. If they're going to win this matchup, Devontae Smith has to have more than 16 passing yards, especially Dallas Goedert. I don't know if he's going to end up playing in this game. He's got a knee injury that he's battling. So they got to win with the pass and win against the pass because Kansas City, number 15, is still there under center in shotgun. And I think if you can get to Patrick Mahomes, you can win the game. But if he's making plays outside of structure, kind of like he was heating up in the second half last week, that's going to be a close one. I think the Chiefs, what you saw last week, even in a loss, is they're still able to really stop the run, and Mahomes can make things happen. So I think you got to win with the pass and win against the pass.
I'll flip that for you too, because I think one of the most important aspects of this for Spagnuolo is to figure out the left-hand side of his defense. Because, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because as I watched that game, more and more it was Jalen throwing right. Everybody seemed to be catching balls to the right. There's no Trent McDuffie over, at least normally there is not. He's going to man the other side. So who is their left corner? Can they get play out of Jalen Watson? Out of Noah Williams, the rookie? Possibly. We don't know. CRW was off the map in week 1. You might even get reps out of him. They have to find an answer to defend that portion of the field in order to stop Jalen and maybe make him look somewhere else. I expect them to attack really heavily out the gate. The first 15 should be pointed to that opposite corner very often. If they can find a way to stop that, I think that sets them up for the rest of the game, but that's not the only key.
You talk about stopping the pass and playing the pass. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of, and I'm going to take Ryan's on this one a little bit.
Do it.
Yeah, they have to run. The Chiefs have to run. I'm not saying they have to run the ball, 30 times, but they have to be consistent. They have to establish a running game, because looking at this offense, this offensive line has some road graders on it. It has some people that can get out and block in the running game. But you also are in a situation where, with all the injuries at wide receiver, and with the fact that you have Hollywood Brown as your number 1 wide receiver right now, probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks at least, you can't put him in a situation where he's going to have to get 15 targets a game, because then he's not going to be healthy, and your number 1 wide receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster. That is not what you want if you're Kansas City. They have to establish the run in this game, and they have to be able to stop Saquon Barkley. I think that they will try to do that. The question is, can they do that? They're not going to have the same defenders that they had the last time they played Saquon. And if you look at the offense that Philly should be able to run with the wide receivers that they have, they're not going to be able to stack the box as you would want to be able to stop Saquon Barkley. So to me, the running game in both for the Chiefs and the Eagles is going to be a huge key in this game.
Yeah, the good thing is for the Eagles, Jalen Carter is playing in this football matchup.
Yep.
He is not going to be suspended. The NFL fined him $57,000, which is for him a game check. They basically said he was suspended against Dallas because he didn't play it down. So they do get their best defensive tackle back. But I will say, like Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, for as bad as I think that Cowboys running attack is going to be this year, they did have success in the first quarter. Javonte Williams had 2 rushing touchdowns. Miles Sanders, before a bad fumble, had a huge rushing attempt for like 40-plus yards in the third quarter. So the Eagles actually uncharacteristically gave up some yards in the run, but Jalen Carter coming back is obviously going to be huge for that.
I think that's a good one to point to, and I appreciate you both for talking X's and O's. I think that's normally what we do here, but I need to depart for that for a minute because in the end, both in February and last week, this team just didn't show up. You didn't show a backbone. You got to let it all hang out. You got to find where your spine and your pride is and use it. And that's right now, Andy Reid is going to take all the heat. Say, I didn't get these guys prepared. It's the players that go play. And you can't show out like that again. You can't show up and let the Eagles knock you into the dirt yet again. So for me, it's do you bow up? Will you take on that? And maybe you're right. Maybe they are a little bit more susceptible to the run. Will you take that on yourself and run the damn ball more? That's what we have to get to. And I know I had to get it in there because Chris already stole my thunder on that particular topic. But it's more about how they go about it than necessarily what they go about.
That's fair, yeah.
Ryan hates it when I talk about the running game and he doesn't get the chance to. But I get it on both sides. I mean, you look at this, and Kansas City's offense and defense to an extent didn't show up in week 1, and you absolutely cannot do that playing the world champions. And not only are you playing the world champions, you're playing a team that stole a chance of going down in NFL lore from you. And they didn't just beat you, they whooped you.
40-6. I refuse to believe the real score. It's 40-6.
Easy now. You don't have enough? Is that what you're telling me?
Sorry, my bad. You're right. Hey, we all got rings here, right? There is respect.
Yeah, right.
You were even saying it earlier. I think these teams respect. I don't know if there's really like bad blood between the teams. So it's a fun rivalry.
It's not like Cowboys Eagles. That's
no,
for sure.
you don't. Definitely not. You definitely don't get this a lot in the NFL, where these like out of conference rivalries. It's very NBA kind of, in my opinion. So it's kind of neat to see. And like I said, like the Jalen Hurts Mahomes thing, like you don't really get that often either, where guys are constantly going at it in big games and championships. So you get that a lot in like the AFC, Brady versus Mahomes, even Brady versus Manning, Allen versus Mahomes. But to have it outside of the conference is kind of neat.
It's going to be a fun game. I absolutely cannot wait for this game. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about afterwards. Louis, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate this. Always love doing the crossovers with you. That is going to be it for us today. Thank you all for listening. We will talk to you tomorrow.